The NFL trade deadline has come and gone for the New York Giants, and they made zero trades. Well, we got some major reports that Joe Schoen was on the phone all day trying to get big-time trades done. I'm pretty pissed off, and I got a lot to say. But first, if you enjoyed our live coverage of the 2025 NFL trade deadline here on New York Giants Now by Chat Sports, hit that thumbs up icon. It was a party. We were live for 5 hours. A lot of fun. I just want to say thank you to every single person that joined. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports, and I am your host, Marshall Green. Appreciate everybody for stopping by and clicking on today's video. Jordan Renan, insider for Big Blue, who works for ESPN, does an awesome job, says it was a quiet deadline for Giants. My understanding is they made calls on some big players, but decided it was best not to give up substantial draft capital. The right move for this team, given where they are at being 2-7. I got to read that again. My understanding is they made calls on some big players, but decided it was best not to give up substantial draft capital. So you're telling me today Joe Schoen called teams about big players and didn't think he had to give up substantial draft capital? Or that maybe it's all just BS and it's just a PR statement. I'm not saying Jordan is saying that, so I hope he or whoever doesn't take that the wrong way. I am calling BS on the New York Giants. They were never interested in making big-time trades. They never wanted to make the moves and give up the necessary assets to punch their tickets to acquiring big-time players today. Like, let's be honest. Do they think we're stupid? You're trying to sell us, New York Giants, that you woke up on trade deadline day after there weren't already 8 to 9 weeks of trade conversation since Malik Neighbors has been hurt, and you said, you know what, all right, we're going to call teams, we're going to try to make big-time trades, but today is where we draw the line. We're not giving up big draft capital. It makes no sense. It's a joke. Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post saying, Shane feverishly worked the phones from all angles in recent weeks. So he's been doing it in recent weeks. But today he woke up and said, you know what? We can't give up big-time draft capital, but we're still going to call on big-time players. Then Ryan adds, one of his best strengths is being in tune to all of the league's buzz. I just got a text. Chicago's driving up the price, and Philly is out. Joe Schoen, if one of his best strengths is he's in tune with what is going on across the league, then why did he think in the Saquon Barkley negotiations, Chicago's driving up the price, and Philly is out? And then Paul Schwartz tweeting out, the Giants had interest in wide receivers, but the ones they liked did not get traded. Oh, how convenient it is. The players the Giants wanted to trade for weren't available. How convenient. They took calls for Kayvon Thibodeau, but he really wasn't on the market. Giants want to build with Thibodeau, Burns, Abdul Carter as their edge rushers. They had interest in wide receivers, but the ones they liked did not get traded. They made calls on big-time players, but they weren't willing to give up the draft capital necessary. Joe Schoen was feverishly working the phones, and he's in tune with what's going on across the league. How stupid do the New York Giants think we are? Seriously, how stupid do the New York Giants think that we are? You can sell me this BS if you want. I'm not buying it. I'm not. And you know what's crazy? It was a good idea to not trade a first-round pick. And I wasn't upset the Giants didn't go out and make a trade. They never should have traded a first-round pick this year. They're going to have a top 10 pick. Probably shouldn't trade a first-round pick next year because if Joe Schoen's still here, they'll probably have a top 10 pick because that is what he is the best in the league at, picking inside the top 10. But you cannot, and you don't have to sell us on this PR BS. I know PR is more important than wins for the New York Giants. Everybody knows that. But enough is enough. Quit the BS. Stop selling the BS. And be honest. Be honest with this fan base. They deserve it. You've been the worst franchise in the NFL for the last 10 years. Worse than the New York Jets. And you're trying to sell your fan base. Well, we wanted to make a trade for a receiver, but all the ones we wanted weren't available. We were feverishly working the phones, but we couldn't get a deal done. We called for big-name players, but we thought we could get those big-name players without giving up big draft capital. But guess what? One of Joe Schoen's best strengths is being in tune with what's going on across the NFL. I am sick and tired of the Joseph Shane New York Giants. They're liars, they're losers, and they have no plan. An absolute joke. No strategy. Shout out to Andrew Connell. We got to talk about how the New York Giants couldn't even trade their draft pick busts away and how other teams in the NFC East are going all in. The team you share a stadium with is pressing reset. But first, I got to give a huge shout out to our proud sponsor of today's show, and that is Chubby's. Shout out to Chubby's for supporting the show and being a sponsor. When you go to chubbyshorts.com/chat, chubbyshorts.com/chat sports, chubbyshorts.com/chat sports, you're going to get 20% off your order today. All of that information will be clickable down in the comments and description. Fellas, if you want to look sharp with the family this holiday season, you got to check out our friends over at Chubby's. From family dinners to holiday parties, Chubby's has you covered. So you can focus on being yourself and let the good vibes roll. Their stuff is so comfy, it should come with a warning label. As the temps drop and the weather gets grim, their flannels, pullovers, and quarter zips keeps you warm, stylish, and ready for anything. From freezing your tail off at the football games to crushing donuts at the pumpkin patch to holding court around the bonfire. And they also have a collection with the National Football League. They got a couple of different Giants polos. They have some Giants swim trunks and a bunch of other gear as well. That is awesome. It fits great, it feels great, and it looks great. For a limited time, Chubby's is giving our listeners 20% off your purchase at Chubby's with the promo code ChatSports at checkout. But if it's Black Friday, skip the code and take advantage of even bigger markdowns during their exclusive Black Friday sale. Just head to chubbyshorts.com and make sure to tell them the Chat Sports sent you. All right, so I think we all kind of knew on trade deadline morning day the New York Giants weren't going to make a call and a trade for a big player, even though they were feverishly working the phones. The receivers they wanted were the ones that didn't get traded, and they made calls for big-time players, but they weren't willing to give up the draft capital. I keep on saying that out loud because every time I say it, I realize how effing stupid it is. But I guess I'll digress on that front. Evan Neal, Jalen Hyatt, Deonte Banks did not get dealt. What does that say about these three players? And what does that say about your front office? There were teams that were doing pick swaps, giving up second-round picks, 2028 seventh-round picks for players. Trevor Penning goes for a sixth-round pick. Evan Neal, Jalen Hyatt, Deonte Banks. Nobody wants the draft busts that Joe Schoen selected. Man, he has done such a good job with the New York Giants. And you see other teams, like the Cowboys, getting better, going out and trading for Quinnen Williams. And you see the team that you are sharing a stadium with hit the much-needed reset button. We were live for 5 hours. It was like, Marshall, why don't we make these trades? It's a very, very, very easy understanding why the New York Giants did not trade good players to get back good trade packages. Because your head coach is in year 4. And your GM is in year 4. And they have to win. But they don't have to win enough to where they have to make trades at the deadline to get better. They can just sit there and do nothing and push BS through their PR front. If you had a year 1 head coach, a year 1 GM, you could have made a trade like this. And I'm not even saying this is a good move for the New York Jets. I'm just saying you can't do this type of stuff when you're in the middle of sucking, in the middle of rebuilding, in the middle, I can't even say trying to win, because the Giants aren't trying to win. You signed Darius Slayton to $36 million. And the Jets again. They trade Sauce Gardner to the Indianapolis Colts. Colts going all in on Daniel Jones. 2026 first-round pick, 2027 first-round pick, and A.D. Mitchell. The Jets hitting that reset button, trying to win in the future because they know they're not winning right now. But they're able to do that with a first-year head coach and a first-year front office. We also saw Jacoby Myers, a player the New York Giants were reportedly interested in, but I guess they were never interested in him because the only receivers they wanted were the ones that did not get traded. 4th and a 6th-round pick. I'm actually glad the New York Giants did not make this trade. And then Rashid Shaheed, another player no way the New York Giants were interested in, despite all the reports saying that they were, a 4th and a 5th-round pick. I also think this is a little bit rich for my blood. And the Philadelphia Eagles, all they try to do is win, 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 no matter what. And all the New York Giants do is sit from the sideline and tell their fans, well, we tried. We tried to do it. We tried to make a trade, but we actually didn't want to give up picks to make the trade. And we feverishly worked the phones. And I'm just sick and tired of this Joe Schoen PR New York Giants organization. All they do is lose, and they never make moves to win. Ever. In fact, they actually let their best players leave to go play for rivals to win Super Bowls. You don't have to sell us on this. I promise. I wasn't even mad the New York Giants didn't make trades today. I'm a little upset they couldn't get anything for their garbage. But then you see the reports from all the beat reporters that come out, and it just lights a fire inside of me. They're inept. The New York Giants, they are inept. Make sure you are following me on social media. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Instagram, @MarshallGreen_.